It reminds me of going to see Top Gun. I went and saw Top Gun with my aunt and uncle and my cousin Jennifer. And we went, and of course, in that movie, Tom Cruise gives it to Kelly McGillis, right? And then there's like that scene, it's steamy, and Berlin is playing and everything. And I was, I think, all of 10 years old. And so, of course, I don't know what but I know it's awkward. And I know my aunt and uncle are sitting right there. I'm like, I don't like this right now, right? And it felt very strange. So if that's what they're talking about, I think I can understand it. But they're saying sex scenes may be headed out of movies. I think it's maybe because OnlyFans has been all over your timelines. And maybe we don't necessarily need it with Ross and Rachel anymore. That could be a thing. But we'll get to the lack of sex scenes and how you will be seeing less of them. That coming up at 8 o'clock. There's been an argument, and I had predicted this 10 years ago, and sure enough, we're here. This about once a year gets floated. They floated it again now, and I'm telling you, they're looking for you to change your behavior here. I told you this when celebrities started to come out and tell you, well, with our kids, we don't do that really. How often should you be showering? Yep, they're coming after the water, bro. I tried to tell you, this is going to be a thing for sure. Apparently, we've got experts out here now telling you that Americans might just be showering too much. Really? Really? When's the last time you went out in public and thought to yourself, soap, it's running amok? Right? Like, I mean, guys, come on, right? Like, never have I been standing anywhere and thought to myself, God, I wish all of these people were less clean. That's never, not one time happened in my life. Now, does some of our desire to shower every single day come from a vanity standpoint? Yes. That's okay. A little vanity is all right. Having it overtake your life probably isn't the best way. But a little vanity is. All things in moderation, correct? Yeah, well then give me a little vanity in moderation. Meaning I kind of want to, get the body wet. Right? Like, I kind of want to get the body wet. All right, here's how I know we're not showering enough. You want proof? Remember when COVID kicked off, they had to beg you to wash your hands. They had to beg adults to start washing their hands. If we have to beg people to wash their hands, guys, we're not showering too much. Right? Like, isn't it? Did we just kind of figure it out right there? But we'll get to it. They have some numbers here. They're eye-rolly as hell, but we will get there coming up. We'll take a look at that at 7 a.m. this morning here on the Stansbury Show. Also, we talked a little yesterday about Miley Cyrus playing the Super Bowl halftime show. There is an artist who it would be for sure, but they're unable to do it. We may open that door again today. And also, good news for marijuana users. Apparently, cannabis use is linked to diabetes prevention and a few other things as well. Might have to walk back my stance on marijuana not being medicine. We may get to that today on the Stansbury Show as well. That number's callable as well. Guards lose last night. 5-4 to the Tigers. They'll play again this afternoon, I believe. Around 1:10, they'll get underway. Even with the loss yesterday. Guards doing pretty good, right? Yeah, not so bad there. Turns out, everybody thought it was going to be awful because they hired a guy who had never managed a baseball team before. I mean, literally, there's been a point where everybody's been a beginner at what they're doing at some point, right? Sooner or later, you're going to have to take a risk. It looks like that one's at least paying off right now. If I were to say the name Mark Zuckerberg to most people, and I don't even mean just listening right now, I just mean people in general, they would know who that is. So if somebody said to you this, Mark Zuckerberg is the most well-known millennial. At first, I don't think you'd go, oh, that's crazy. What are you talking about? It's crazy. I don't know if that's crazy. I'm not sure he is the most well-known, but I don't think it's necessarily like an egregious statement. Of course, the internet is getting up and down on him, ironically using his products to tell him how wrong he is, right? So there's some funny things in that. But in a newly revealed email, apparently, he had referred to himself as the most well-known millennial. I believe millennials are born between the years 1981 and 1996, if I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure that's where that is. Well, here it is. Perez, whatchamacallit? BedfordResearch.com is where I saw this. So Gen X would be, that's my generation, 65 to 80. And so I'm about 76 there, right? And then millennials are 81 to 96. And Gen Z then would be 97 to 2012 is where they are. That's what Gen Z is, but the millennials. And that's, it was the first time my generation started to yell at the generation coming up behind us. And there are some differences. I'll tell you, everybody talks about what you can and cannot say and senses of humor and this and that. You can still joke about plenty. I'll tell you what I see the differences in those two age ranges is Gen X really likes sarcasm. We really like self-deprecating. We really liked sarcasm. We really liked harsh. We really liked edgy. Lewis Black was screaming in your face. And there was a lot of that. And we liked abrasive is what Gen X liked. We liked that. We prided ourselves on it, as a matter of fact. This is Sparta. I mean, that's kind of how my generation took that, right? It seems like the millennials and then really Gen Z is like, harsh, not nice. Right? Sarcasm, not good. Let's not do that, right? And there's, obviously it's not true of everybody in those generations, but overall it seems to be the way they approach things. Mark Zuckerberg, the most well-known millennial. My only problem, well, not only problem, but there's a pretty big one, right? I mean, there is a massive, and I mean massive millennial. So much so that she named one of her albums 1989 because that is the year in which I believe she was born. But you're going to tell me he's more well-known than she is? Than Taylor? I don't know. I don't even know how you figure it out. Because like I said, all right, Jay Leno used to have a system for his show. Uncle Bill and Aunt Sally. That might not be the names he used, but there was a thing. And Jay Leno's thing was, until Uncle Bill or Aunt Sally know of it, it ain't going on the show. I'm not breaking stuff here. I'm out to talk about what they know about. That's what Jay Leno said. It was his whole thing. It's got to be massive before it hits our airwaves, right? And that is how most productions like that are going to work. They're going to look for safe bets. So my point is, Uncle Bill and Aunt Sally know who Taylor Swift is, but they know who Mark Zuckerberg is too. So that would usually be one of those benchmarks. Even my mom knows who that is, right? That's what people will say. I say that kind of stuff all the time while making a point in here. But my mom knows who Mark Zuckerberg is. Both of those people are so famous outside of their own generations that if you showed my mother just a picture of either one of them, I think she's going to know who both of those people are. Now, again, some of the younger listeners are going to tell me, oh, dude, Mark Zuckerberg's not the biggest millennial. It's going to be Sneeko. It's going to be this. It's going to be one of these people. It's going to be this. And again, there's where you're getting into Uncle Bill and Aunt Sally have no idea who Sketch is. They have no idea who Sneeko is. They have no idea who those people are. No clue. As a matter of fact, I got people right now listening to me wondering, dude, why are you saying those names again? You're confusing me, right? That's because they don't know who they are. I remember I said this 3 years ago about Mr. Beast. I said he's one of the biggest things on the internet, and so many people listening to me right now are learning his name for the first time right now. And sure enough, I got messages all day. Dude, who the hell is Mr. Beast? What the hell are you talking about? And it's one of those things. Fame is kind of a mile wide, inch deep right now. It's just kind of the way it is. It's not bad or worse or whatever. It's just kind of the reality of the situation. So I don't think it's necessarily egregious that he suggested it. Also, the email may have come out before Taylor, although she's been the thing, though. Let's not pretend the NFL because again, Travis Kelce got more out of that relationship than Taylor Swift got. She was already selling them stadiums out. It's not like, oh my God, dude, they put her on an NFL game and now she's selling stadiums. That's not what happened. She was already pretty hot. So she's been the thing for a while. I don't know, man. Then you got, now again, in this country, some of these people wouldn't necessarily be thought of. But Ronaldo, worldwide, is I mean, Ronaldo might be bigger than LeBron worldwide. In this country, not close. Messi, like that dude, like I forgot he would have been a millennial. People are sending me that one. Like, yeah, like those Euro sports guys, those Euro soccer guys, football guys. And I'm a casual fan at best. I collect some of the cards. I watch some of the matches and all that. So I'm into it a little. But like those guys are massive stars in their markets. Massive. Like it doesn't get much bigger. Beyonce, now I think a lot of her heat has fallen off. We've seen that with some of her concert video footage where like the tickets weren't sold. And like we've seen some of that. Some of the heat has come off of her. But is she still like famous? Yeah, I think the answer is probably somebody said Shakira, but she's not a millennial. She's a little too old for that. Prince William. Well, that's interesting. Worldwide, I'm willing to bet Prince William is. Who doesn't know who Mark Zuckerberg is, though? Like, that's the problem. Very few people aren't going to know who he is. James is texting me at 330-450-7625 and said, I once read that he's the most recognizable name on the planet. Huh. Well, I don't know where you read that, and I have a hard time disputing it. Not like you were looking for me to fight with you, but I don't know. I can believe it just because, like I said, I don't know how to come up with the equation that gets us to this person who doesn't know who he is, especially by now, right? You tell me in 2008, even 2012, people don't know who Mark Zuckerberg is. Fair enough. Again, I got on Facebook in 2006. I think it was pretty close to after where they were like, you don't need a college email address anymore, blah, blah, blah. And like the radio station started to get aggressive about us, joining the socials and the like. And so we all did it. But before then, like a woman I was dating was on it, and I was like looking over her shoulder at it the one day, and I was like, dude, how dumb is that? And now here we all are. So if you tell me back like 2012, 2015 even, that a lot of people don't know who Zuckerberg is, fair. Absolutely fair. 2024, again, dude pulled in front of the federal government to explain what was going on in his business. Like because again, that takes you out of the realm of, all right, the kids kind of know you, people know you, all right, yes, the youngs kind of know you. Once you're in front of that, once you're on C-SPAN getting yelled at, it's like, all right, you have broken wide a little bit there. I'm still going to go with Taylor Swift. I think is the most well-known millennial. This will also get tough. These conversations always get tough like this because people say, no, Taylor's way more well-known. And I think, well, she could be. But some people are going to answer that with like who they like more. And it's like, that's not the equation. It's who's more well-known. And I still think at this, especially right now, you tell me right now, if I could pick the hottest millennial on the planet, and I don't mean looks, although I do think she's attractive. I don't get the guys online who try to tell you Taylor Swift is mid. I don't get it, but fine, whatever. She's mid, fine. You haven't had sex in 10 years. You masturbate 7 times a day, but Taylor's mid. Sure. Got it. Right. But I'm saying as far as like her name goes and like recognizable and famous, I'll take Taylor Swift as the most well-known millennial right now. Our golf outing on the 24th, your sign-up sheet for the Sandsbury Cup is active now at WRQK.com. We'll thank Raintree Golf and Event Center for having us back out again this year. They were a great host last year. Got even more in-store and planned for you guys. Do a long drive competition closest to the hole, long putt. You know how golf outings work. And we'll do some day drinking, swinging the clubs together. Find your sign-up sheet at WRQK.com. And sometimes I will tell you guys that you can use the microphone talkback button if you listen on iHeartRadio to weigh in on the program, and sometimes people will do that. And you don't know what you're going to get with those. Sometimes it's like, all right. And then sometimes you're like, dude, what is going on with people? And I think this is one of those. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what this guy said. It's fine. It's funny. I'm sure this probably just got stuck in his head after hearing it come out over the speakers time and time again. You just end up saying it to yourself. This just came in off the microphone talkback button here.
Only
on iHeart Radio. Yeah, only on the free iHeartRadio app in your app store today. You go download that like the other 777 million. We were also, you and I, having a conversation about the most well-known millennial. Apparently an email came out where Mark Zuckerberg had referred to himself as the most well-known millennial. Now, again, this email back in 2020. So that's 4 years ago for those of us that can count on one hand. This was apparently released as a part of a legal document in Tennessee versus Meta there. In the exchange, Zuckerberg had said that he and Thiel had been having discussions about the future, how power would shift from baby boomers to millennials. And again, the person who's writing this article is like, hey, look, they skipped over us Gen Xers again here. And they did. We do. We get overlooked all the time. That's fair. It's okay. I think we'd actually prefer that. And how, he started talking to Peter Thiel about how they should focus on thinking about that and what policies are going to come out of that. Meta as a company has decided to not comment thus far. But apparently back then Zuckerberg had wrote, quote, finally, I think there's also some distinction between me and the company here. While our company has a special role in the lives of this generation, this is likely particularly important for how I show up because I am the most well-known person of my generation. Man, that's, to say that about yourself. Now, at some point, something that sounds cocky is just a fact, right? 2020, I think he would have had a better argument of it then than now. Even in the tech space now, I think Elon's probably more well-known. Now we're getting outside the millennial thing there. But I'm just talking about like popularity, heat, kind of who's getting talked about now, what's happening. I think Elon's more front and center in his space. As a matter of fact, you kind of went out of your way to try to take Elon out with Threads, that thing that absolutely nobody talks about anymore. Is it still there? Do people use it? Are the outlets on there? Yes, 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 and yes. You never hear about it. It's got no, watch this, Gen Z. It's got no Riz. None. It's that stick meme. Do something. Come on, do something. So, like, Elon won that war. Like, he did. Like, say what you want. He won that war. So, like, he feels still, like, more front and center tech world-ish than Mark does. And as far as just, like, popularity of other millennials, again, Elon outside of that. LeBron James is a name we didn't get to, I don't think. Now, you're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody more well-known than LeBron James. Like, I think Zuckerberg would have had a bigger claim at this phrase, which sounds more cocky. I'm the most important person of my generation. Because important and well-known don't always intersect. Plenty of CEOs are important. You're never going to hear their name. As a matter of fact, that's how most of them want it. Keep it about the work. Not about me. Keep it about the work, right? It's kind of how they want it. So important and known, like in your life, your kids are important. They're probably never going to be well known. Maybe, right? But they're important to you. Important and well known don't always intersect. Now they can. And actually, a listener of mine texted me at 330-450-7625 and has said this. He said, you're probably right about Taylor, because I brought her up a couple of times. He said, but I think that's the problem with the world you and I live in. Okay? He said, in the perfect world, Mark Zuckerberg is more well-known. Was seen as bigger, seen as more important. He said, but we have idol worship of entertainment. When you look at what Mark Zuckerberg gave the world, innovation, versus what Taylor Swift has given the world, pop music, well, see, at the end of the day, relaxation, time sucks, music can be relaxing, it's a stress relief. So, like, to me, That is too dismissive of art. That's just how I would respond to that. Now, where we're going to get into a little bit of a back and forth there is whether or not Taylor Swift is art. Okay, well, fair, but like music is art, right? And so I don't want to be too dismissive, especially in the age of where we're about to watch art and all of entertainment absolutely just get flipped on its head and I think be made worse. I guess we'll wait and see if I'm right about that. But I think that's too dismissive of art. But what I will say is, do people, myself included, should we all have more appreciation for innovators as we do of people who are singing? Yes. But if you go back through any decade in this country's history, people were complaining about that. Mickey Mantle, the biggest star in America, but it should be this scientist. There was never a time where that wasn't the argument. And I'm not saying you're not saying that. I'm just saying like this isn't necessarily a new problem either. But I think Taylor Swift and LeBron James in 2024, now again, 4 years after he wrote the email, I think they're both more well-known right now than Mark Zuckerberg is. Whether it's your mortgage or your credit card, you got something that needs a payment. So you might as well grab $1,000 off of us and make that payment. Rock the bank with me. That first keyword passed out at 9 a.m. this morning. Also, Hulk Hogan responding. There's some wild accusations about him and his beer brand, Real American Beer. We'll get there at 9 as well. All right, this I saw yesterday. It broke wide. I'm sure plenty of you have seen some of this, heard about it. A man in Philadelphia, 35 years old, apparently was in a dollar store, and a woman had said, "Oh my God, he just ended on me." Ejaculated, essentially, is what she means, which is about the worst thing you could do to somebody, right? Just in passing. I mean, that's awful. But according to cops, Gary A. Miles, 35, of Southwest Philly, was sought after they say an indecent assault of a female victim occurred at Dollar Tree. Store employees say that Miles is known to frequent that Snyder Plaza store, and they say he will park his vehicle sometimes underneath the I-95 underpass. On Wednesday, that being yesterday, we saw a video go crazy viral all over the internet. And Meek Mill, Philadelphia rapper, said he was offering $2,000 for information on the suspect. I don't know if that's a misprint or not. I know I can get on people when I'm like, dude, stop yelling at celebrities about how much money they donate. It's still a lot of money. 2 feels a little low, Meek. Right? Like that one feels a little low. I don't know if that's a misprint or what's going on there. I'm pulling from Fox29.com out of the Philly region, I believe. Hours later, Philly police announced that Miles voluntarily surrendered himself to authorities last evening. PPD extends its gratitude to the public for their assistance in locating Mr. Miles. Now, the interesting thing about this is, well, there's a few, but one of them is the guy was wearing a shirt that said, "It's not going to lick itself." Now, I believe the photo that's on the shirt next to the text is of a candy cane. And there's a little double entendre there. Yeah, a little dirty joke with Santa, right? It kind of feels like what's going on there. But I guess what I'd be curious about is, did we wear the shirt on purpose? I mean, they're both kind of sexual in nature. Now, granted, she didn't lick it, right? Carefully we tread now, right? Like she did not do that. But apparently he was walking through the store, had been masturbating to the point to where he was able to ejaculate on another human being and ran out of the store. Yikes. Awful. Every married guy or every father just went, oh my God, right? Like you just want to beat this dude. Yeah, I do too. That's how I feel about it too. I'll tell you what's interesting, and I'm not looking to lecture anybody. But when subjects come up or women kind of tell us what happens, we like to shoot them down a lot, don't we? Why didn't you tell anybody? Hey, how come we didn't know? Blah, blah, blah. You were asking for it. Don't wear that to work. Right? We do. I mean, like, let's be honest. Society can do it. Not every situation, but there's more than enough of them And I'll tell you why I mentioned it. Because I knew this was a story last night. The way prepping for the show works is this. I, along with some other radio people, will email each other all day like, yo, man, you see this, you see this, you see this, you see this. And I will email myself a lot of things. I saw this yesterday and I was like, well, I don't even have to email myself that one. It's still going to be all over the place when I get there in the morning. It's fine. I know what happened. I'll pull it up and I'll have it to reference and I'll be fine. So I showed up here this morning and I went to go Google it. You wouldn't believe how many stories of men ejaculating on women in public there are. It is terrible. It is awful. There's Philly from yesterday. Houston woman claims a man ejaculated on her in the river. That's May of this year. Let me see here. Man accused of possibly ejaculating on a woman at a Miami public park. That of March of this year. Man ejaculates on a woman with her daughter at a Walmart. That from back of 2019, I believe. Man ejaculated on a woman and then dips out. This is from 2017. Another woman in May 15th of this year claims a man ejaculated on her back. I'm sorry, there should only be one of these. And even that would be too many. But the story we have to talk about now, that should be one of those things when we Google it, it's like, yeah, he was, meet this guy, first of his name, right? Like that should be like that. This should not be a thing. This should not be a thing. Okay, there's a difference between looking at an attractive woman and thinking to yourself, man, she's pretty attractive. And maybe even like looking at her too long. I wouldn't do it, but it's like, all right, you're probably still within bounds there. Maybe even saying something to her. Now, depending on what you say, but if you want to ask her out for a cup of coffee or whatever, I don't think it's necessarily the biggest problem in the world. If you want to view her, look at her in the store and put her in what is routinely referred to as the SB, the spank bang, and go home and do what you got to do, then do it. Then do it. Making it somebody else's problem, their day. I mean, dude, that is sexual assault. And there is no debating that. And that is a fast way to get somebody to put hands on you. And I mean fast. I'm willing to bet, all right, there's a guy who's listening right now. I know him well enough. I would have him on the more pacifist side of a listener of mine who would go out of his way. He would walk 10 miles out of his way not to have to get into a physical altercation with you. And by the way, you shouldn't take him light because he knows jiu-jitsu like the back of his hand. But you would never know that by looking at him. Ever. I'm telling you right now, that guy, and again, he would walk 10 miles out of his way not to get into a physical altercation with you. If you ejaculate on his wife, I'm telling you, he's putting his hands on. That's at a point where I don't care who you are. I don't care how many coexist stickers are on the goddamn bumper of the Subaru. If that happens to your wife, you're throwing hands. The Stansberry Show. Welcome back to the Stansberry Show. Our sign-up sheet for the Stansberry Cup is online at WRQK.com. We'll see you on the 24th at Braintree Golf and Event Center when you get signed up. Cannot wait to be back there. I love that place. They were a great host for us last year. Look forward to being back with them again this year. Your sign-up sheet at WRQK.com. And as I've been talking about that golf outing, for a little while now, I've taken this message a couple of times. And I didn't stay away from it for any particular reason other than this, oh, yeah, there is that out there. So there's a couple of golf stories out there. Keegan Bradley has been named the Ryder Cup captain after being passed over last year. Now, I'll try to get through this part pretty quickly, as I'm willing to bet most people probably don't even know who Keegan Bradley is. I understand people being upset he was passed over. I think there's zero chance I'm not taking JT to an event like the Ryder. There are guys who get amped up for those types of moments. Like Poltz on the other side for the Euros. I'm never leaving Ian at home, ever. Give me Poltz. I want him, right? There's just kind of guys that kind of feel like that moment. So I understood taking JT. Not taking Bryson was probably the bigger problem than not taking Keegan Bradley. But now Keegan is going to be your Ryder Cup captain. And again, like I said about and JT about getting geared up for that moment, I think Keegan Bradley is one of those guys who is going to love and respect the fact that he is captaining this team for his country. And I think it was a pretty good thing. Beyond that,
there is a story about our current president and the former about some golf. Apparently, this came up in the debate a little. There's been some taunting from the campaigns about this in the past. I remember, I think the Biden administration had said on social media they would give Trump 3 strokes, but he had to carry his own bag. That's kind of funny, dude. You got to admit, it's kind of funny. I kind of want to watch homie like hoof it with a bag, right? That might be tough. But I guess now, most recently, Trump offered Biden 20 strokes. For anybody that doesn't know golf at all, he's trying to piss him off, right? You offer a dude 20, that's saying you suck. Like, that's what that's saying. And so that's in line with who he is, for sure. That's who he is. He is a troll. He enjoys that troll aspect of himself. He does. He enjoys it. And so do a lot of other people. So I got that. As a golf fanatic, again, the Stansbury Cup on the 24th, your sign up sheet at WRQK.com. I want to see it. As an American citizen, I kind of want to see it. Now, I don't know if this is what would happen, and I can't imagine it would, because everybody has to be so protected about making sure it looks like you win for your audience. And, oh my God, he owned him. And like everybody's got to do that now because so much of this is done through our comments and opinions on that online, right? So everybody's more guarded than ever before. But we talk about how divided this country is. By the way, I was watching one of my favorite television shows ever. The episode aired in 1999. And the guy said, there may not be any two people who hate each other more than the left and the right. So this has been a thing with us for a while. It's not necessarily new. This is the way people have been feeling about it for a long, long, long time, right? I feel as if what this cycle needs is a little hope, is a little inspiration, is a little feel good, is a little, let's put it aside a little bit and come together for the country. And this could be one of those moments. Get out there and enjoy each other a little bit. Put the attacks away.